Well, the Kundalini has been called a dangerous force, a mystical rocket fuel, and a path to psychosis. Well, but where does this fear actually come from? And what is the reality behind these misplaced, stupid stories? Well, in this video, I sit down to dismantle the most persistent myths about Kundalini awakening and the Kundalini practice. Not with hype, but with the uh, biological, philosophical, and lineage-based facts which I have learned within my lineage from Sivananda Satyananda tradition. We discuss why a literal coiled serpent is actually a metaphor for dormant neuroplasticity. We explore why awakening is a gradual process of maturation, not a single explosive event. And we also look at how modern neuroscience validates the silent brain activation that our ancient yogis described millennia ago. So if you have been told to fear Kundalini or you have been sold a quick fix spiritual Kundalini awakening, this conversation will reset your understanding entirely. So stay till the end. Well, I've been teaching Kundalini Kriya Yoga for over 15 years now. And in all that time, the one thing that I have had to address more than anything else is fear, confusion, and kind of lack of clarity. So when new students come to me, they usually come with a story already in their head, or probably they have a lot of misinformation, something which is not close to what Kundalini practice actually is. They have heard that Kundalini is dangerous, or Kundalini is this and that. They have heard that it will fry their nervous system. They have heard it will make them crazy, or probably hyperactive, or probably opposite of hyperactive. And I completely understand why. The internet is full of stories about people who tried to force an awakening and ended up in hospitals. I mean, these kind of incidents have surely happened. About people who experience psychosis instead of peace and bliss. Well, here's the truth I want you to sit with for a moment. The danger is not in the Kundalini itself. The danger is in the lack of proper preparation. And that is what I want to talk about today. Not to scare you, but to liberate you from the fear that has been keeping you stuck and held back. Well, let us start with the most persistent myth of all. The myth that Kundalini is a literal physical snake or serpent sleeping at the base of your spine. You have seen these images all over the internet. A coiled serpent, 3.5 times inches around, waiting to be forced up by aggressive breathing or some dynamic movements. This is what most online Kundalini courses tell you to do. They tell you to push up the energy forcefully. But here is what the tradition I was trained in actually teaches. The serpent is not a physical animal, it is a metaphor. That coiled snake is a Kundalini symbol for your own dormant potential. It represents the intelligence that lies coiled in the unconscious depths of your own nervous system. It is a symbol for neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. And here is the part that really changes the practice. The seat of this energy is not actually at the base of the spine. The actual seat is the crown of your head, which is Sahasrara, the highest center of the brain. The base of the spine is just a switch. It is a biomechanical trigger point. So I am talking in a very scientific language because that's how we connect with. When we practice asana, pranayama, and the bandhas and all hatha yoga techniques, the energy locks we practice, we are not pushing the snake up. We are removing the blockages in these energy channels, nadis. We are clearing the path so the energy can rise naturally without any interruption. Well, here is another myth that causes a lot of unnecessary anxiety. The belief that Kundalini awakening is a single sudden life-altering event, which is not. Social media is full of people claiming that they had a sudden Kundalini awakening during a first time meditation. They felt a shock or a flash or a lightning strike sort of thing, and suddenly they were enlightened. Well, this enlightened word is loosely used in the Kundalini Yoga and yoga community actually. But the classical tradition does not describe a sudden awakening as a norm at all. We speak of a gradual step-by-step unfolding. This is not a sudden event. This is a process of maturation and gradual transition. So it is equivalent to seed growing into a tree. You do not get the tree the moment you plant the seed, as I said before. I have seen this in my own students. They are rushing into the practice, like they come to for a course and they want to rush everything. The awakening often begins with a preliminary release of energy. They feel a heat, a creeping sensation, electric shock traveling up the spine. But this could happen, and probably this could never happen. So this is not the final awakening. It is the preparation for it. It is a purification of the central channel, which is Sushumna Nadi. And the goal of your daily practice is not to chase the state of overwhelming bliss. The goal is to develop a state of unshakable steadiness and graceful clarity. Well, now let me address the fear directly. Why do we hear so many stories about people going crazy after trying to awaken Kundalini? The danger does not lie in the energy itself. Kundalini is a benevolent mother force or Shakti. The danger lies in the lack of your preparation. Nature has its own built-in safety mechanisms. It is the central channel, the Sushumna Nadi, is not open and purified yet, and the energy will definitely remain clogged at lower chakra. And when this happens, then I have seen students develop neurotic fixations, obsessive behaviors, and anxiety. So the energy simply goes astray. The classical Kundalini texts are explicit and very clear about the three prerequisites for safety. First is purity of consciousness. The aspirant must undergo a process of selfless action and devotion. Without this, the awakening of the unconscious will bring suppressed past traumas to the surface. Second is balance of solar and lunar energies, which is Ida and Pingla Nadis. Before the master switch is turned on, which is Sushumna, the solar and lunar energies must be balanced and synchronized. This is done through different techniques, but pranayamas like Nadi Shodhan, alternate nostril breathing, and different Kundalini Kriyas. It harmonizes the nervous system. And the third is the guide. A true guide is not a religious figurehead. They are stabilizer of the nervous system. And when an aspirant experiences the frightening visions of the unconscious, the guide's presence acts as a, I would say, cognitive anchor. The danger is reserved for those who skip the foundational years of practice, those who try to chase the high instead of doing the steady work. Well, let's move from the philosophy to neurobiology, because this is where the Kundalini tradition meets the modern science. The brain is divided into two main functional areas. One is the active brain, which we use for logic, speech, reasoning, and analysis, and the receptive brain, which handles intuition, spatial awareness, and non-verbal understanding. Well, here's the profound truth. Modern neuroscience confirms that the vast majority of the brain is functionally dormant. It has vital energy, but no conscious awareness. So how do we awaken it? Well, research demonstrates that during deep meditation, the microscopic movement of the heart and aorta causes the spine and skull to oscillate at a specific frequency. Well, in the stillness of your daily practice, this oscillation creates standing waves within the brain's fluid-filled cavities. And this gradual process, known in science as kindling, lowers the neurological threshold. It also allows the silent areas of the brain to finally ignite. Well, this is why the Kundalini Kriyas are not mystical ritual sort of thing. They are neurological exercises. It wouldn't be appropriate to call it exercise, but sort of Kriya, which actually stimulate something. They are designed to stimulate the master switch in the brain. They act as a fuse that fuses the logic of the left brain with the intuition of the right brain. And this union is the definition of yoga itself. Well, the ultimate purpose of awakening Kundalini is not to escape the world. It is to transform how you live in it. When the energy reaches the crown, it merges with the pure consciousness. Well, this is the peak, and a lot of us will probably not go anywhere near to it in this lifetime, but still it's worth going up. And this is the non-dual state of samadhi. But the journey does not end here. The energy, the Kundalini energy in its heightened state descends back down to the base again. And the yogi returns to the physical plane with a transformed consciousness. They live a normal life, they discharge worldly obligations, but they do as an actor on a stage, detached from the dualities of victory and defeat, pleasure and pain. Well, the final measure of an authentic awakening is simple. Can you hold the infinite awareness of the cosmos while navigating the finite reality of human life? Well, if you feel called to walk this path to build the foundation and avoid the traps, I have a resource for you. It is my complete Kundalini Yoga guide, which I have written. This is for beginners who are new to Kundalini Yoga, and the link is in the description below. And if you feel the call to go further, to move beyond theory, like into a structured, properly sequenced practice under the direct guidance of lineage, then my residential Kundalini Kriya Yoga teacher training in Goa is where the myths dissolve and the authentic practice begins. The goal is not a moment of bliss. The goal is a lifetime of study, unshakable peace, to build the foundation and walk the path with patience and perseverance. So I will see you in the next video. Namaste.